get with the storms, the disasters, all of the stars and the moon and the signs.
Okay, so you're talking about the last days and how in the last days, the sun is going to be darkened and the moon is going to turn to blood. And I got to tell you, that already happened. The signs of the times already happened. But because most American Christians do not understand the cultural context of what is going on, then they don't understand what that actually means. Most of you guys are waiting for the sun to literally be darkened. You're waiting for the moon to literally turn to blood. You're waiting for all of these signs because you think that these signs in the Bible apply to you. Not even knowing that the signs of the last days are applicable to the audience of people that Jesus is speaking to. When Jesus is speaking to his disciples about the signs of the times that they need to look out for, if Jesus is telling his disciples they need to look out for certain signs, but these signs are not applicable to the people he's talking to, who is Jesus having a conversation with? Is Jesus just speaking to himself? Are there news cameras in the first century? Is CNN and Fox News recording Jesus giving end time signs for you in 2023? Is Jesus just getting ready for his Sunday morning close up? The signs of the times were for the disciples because they were going to experience this stuff. And they did. In the year 70 AD, the Jewish temple, the temple that Jesus and the disciples were standing in front of 40 years prior, 40 years ago, 40 years before this event, the disciples and Jesus were standing in front of this temple. And Jesus told the disciples that that temple was going to fall and it was going to happen in their generation. A generation is about 40 years. So Jesus told the disciples in about 40 years from that time, that temple was going to fall to the ground. And then he starts giving them signs to look out for. One of the signs is that the sun will be darkened and the moon will turn to blood. That's not some magical, crazy prophecy that you guys think it is. When the Jewish temple fell to the ground, the smoke from the temple blocked out the sun. And the orange hues from the flames turned the sky red. So the orange hues from the flames turned the moon to blood. And we just witnessed this with that wildfire in Canada where the sky literally turned red and everybody on the East Coast was able to see that the sky was red. But the sky wasn't literally red. The sky wasn't literally blood, right? The moon didn't literally turn to blood and it wasn't a literal blood moon, but the orange hues from the flames in Canada made the sky appear to be red. But when you don't know the history of the Jewish temple, when you don't know what happened in 70 AD, when you don't understand that Jesus is using apocalyptic language that all points you back to the Jewish temple, you are going to have a very magical understanding about what the last days is about. The last days is not about some coming age in the distant future. The last days was about the last days of the people who actually experienced this stuff. The disciples. Every time we make the last days about us, we are dishonoring the people who actually died for this. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, they died for this because they literally lived in the last days. It was the last days of the old covenant. So I have a video talking about this in more detail. It's on my page, but give me a follow. If you want to learn more about this stuff, I have 2 books, Secrets of the Bible from the East, where I'll talk about this stuff in way more detail than I can ever talk about on here. But what do you guys think? Does it make more sense that Jesus is speaking to his disciples about what they're going to experience? Or does it make more sense that Jesus is talking to his disciples about something they're never going to experience, something they're never going to see? And does it make more sense that Jesus is waiting until you're born?